bring in Pennsylvania Republican Senator Dave McCormick, who will travel with the president on Air Force One today. He serves on the Joint Economic Committee and has a long history in the field of finance, understands it well. Senator McCormick, great to see you. Thank you for joining us today.
Good afternoon, Martha.
So is that the grade that you would give it, A+++?
Well, I think, first of all, I agree with the president 100% that he's inherited a basket case of an economy from the Biden administration. 22% increase in prices, wages didn't keep up, out of control spending. And what the president has done in the last year has made huge strides for the economy. Inflation's down about a half of what it was under the Biden administration on average, and real wages are up. So, and the other thing is that there's been huge policy advances made that are going to come into effect in 2026. That's all the tax cuts, the accelerated depreciation, the big beautiful bill, deregulation, energy dominance. So I think what the president's saying is, listen, things are significantly better now than they were a year ago, but there's a lot more coming, and there needs to be a lot more coming because Pennsylvanians and Americans are still feeling the pinch of those disastrous Biden policies.
So here's a couple of sound bites from the president last time he was on the campaign trail in 2024, speaking to people in your home state of Pennsylvania. Watch.
Starting the day I take the oath of office, I will rapidly drive prices down and we will make America affordable again. We're going to make it affordable again. It's going to go down a little bit. It just went down $100.
Thank you so much.
We'll do that for you from the White House, all right?
He was handing out $100 bills at a grocery store back then. His approval numbers on the economy are not super at the moment. Disapprove 52%, although we are seeing a partisan divide on that. Republicans are a little bit more positive than Democrats, so you may be seeing some politics playing into this number as well. But when you talk to people in Pennsylvania on the ground, what do they tell you is their biggest economic personal concern right now, Senator?
Well, I was just in Northeast Pennsylvania for several days, a couple days ago, and what they're seeing is significant benefits in some ways. So, for example, gas prices are down. They're seeing huge job creation with all the investment that's coming into Pennsylvania as a result of the president's policies, but they're still feeling pinched. And the one thing that I think is universal is the deep concern over rising health care costs. You know, if you're a family that makes $55,000 a year, and what's happened over the last 5 years is your healthcare costs have gone up dramatically. That's a real pressure point, and it's because of the failure of the Affordable Care Act. It was supposed to deliver better quality, lower prices, and access. It's failed on all three of those, and that's a big issue that's looming. We in the Republican caucus, we just had a lunch talking about this, how to figure out how to deal with these subsidies that the Biden administration had put in place during COVID. Try to make sure we protect working families, but do away with the fraud and the giveaways to people that make $500,000 a year. That's a real pinch. And then reforming health care in general, given what a disaster Obamacare has been, that's a broader topic. So I think even though they're seeing progress in the economy, they're still feeling the remnants of those terrible policies of both the Obama administration with health care and the Biden administration with out-of-control spending and overregulation.
So, I mean, what do you say to those, since you brought it up, what do you say to those who say, look, we're not going to extend these subsidies. A lot of this money is going straight into the pockets of the insurance companies, but who say to Republicans, where is your plan? You know, I know you said you were just discussing this issue, but where's the plan that the American people can kind of get their hands around and say, well, if I'm not going to get my subsidy, I'm going to pick option B?
Well, I think there's a short-term plan and a long-term plan. In the short term, you know, we're still wrestling with how to deal with this, but I'm of the opinion that we should try to find a way to make sure that working families, those that are living paycheck to paycheck, get incremental dollars in their pocket as these subsidies roll off. But the current plan that the Democrats have, a 3-year extension of the existing subsidies, this is rife with fraud. This is uncapped on income, so these are high-income people receiving these subsidies. So the Democratic plan is really political theater. So we're going to have to deal, in my opinion, with those people that are living paycheck to paycheck with some sort of bridge. At the same time, we got to reform all of health care because, as I said, Obamacare is a disaster. We pay 3 times more per person than any other developed country in the world for health care, yet bad outcomes in infant mortality and overall morbidity, and 25 million people don't have access. So this is failing. I think we're going to need to reform the system in a way that delivers greater transparency on prices. Who's making the money? Is it these big health care insurance companies? Second, we need to give the consumer more control, more decision rights. That's going to drive better outcomes. And finally, we got to have competition. Cross-state competition. We got to squeeze this incredible waste out of the system. And that's going to take some real work. And while it's the Democrats' disaster that we're dealing with, we as Republicans are going to need to lead, and we're going to need to find some Democrats to lead with us to get this done.
Understood. We look forward to seeing the outlines of that plan, and we look forward to seeing the president and you this evening in Pennsylvania. How important is it that the message from the president, some people are saying that he's sort of glossing over the issue and saying it's not that bad and I inherited it all from Biden. What do you think the message needs to be tonight to make people understand that the president knows where they are on these things that you just brought up?
Well, the president knows his message better than anybody, but what I would say is he won Pennsylvania because of working families. Nobody has a better finger on the pulse for working families than President Trump. That's why we're bringing all these jobs back to places like Pennsylvania. That's why he's put the trade policies in place to try to create fundamental fairness. That's why he's been so focused on interest rates to bring down the cost of housing. That's why he's deregulated in energy to bring down energy prices. So I think he's got a great sense of how the economy affects the overall country, but particularly working families. And I suspect his message tonight will be focused on working families. Those are the people that got us here, and those are the people his policies are designed to try to help.
Well, he has loved campaigning in Pennsylvania and was very successful there in a very tough state. So we'll see how it goes tonight. Susie Wild says he's going to be campaigning for the midterms with the same vigor that he campaigned in 2024. So we're going to be watching all that very closely.
I don't doubt it.
Senator David McCormick, thank you very much, sir. Great to see you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.